New Arts and Media Studios in Milwaukee. I'm Charles Purcell. This is The Log. Following up on a story from last week, this is one you just don't want to let go of. Please keep your eye on this story. Of course, I'm talking about the raid in Fulton County, where the regime, in their very fascist way, absconded with all the paper ballots from the 2020 election, all tabulations from that election, and voter information. I'm talking names, addresses, social security numbers. Yeah, now in the possession of the regime. Even mainstream media, after several days, finally got around to the fact that, yeah, this is not about 2020, it's all about 2026. And the new reporting early this week, New York Times reported that Tulsi Gabbard, Director of National Intelligence, who was on scene for the Fulton raid, which is extremely troubling. The intelligence community has absolutely nothing to do on American soil. That's not what they're about. So the fact that she was there, extremely troubling. And now we find out, according to the New York Times, that she met with FBI agents, made a call to the Orange Menace while she was with said agents, put him on speakerphone, and he had a little confab with the FBI agents about their raid. Asked them lots of questions. And then, I think it was either Sunday or Monday, I forget which, the Orange Menace quoted as saying, we have to nationalize elections. We have to take over. He didn't say all 50 states, but he said, I think he had the number 15 in his head. So we know what that means. All swing states, all potential swing states. Yeah, we have to nationalize elections. As you and I know, and we talk about endlessly, he's too stupid to understand anything about government, civics, elections, history. He doesn't know this stuff. It's all being put in his head by the likes of Stephen Miller, Russell Vogt, and others. Please don't get all blurry-headed when people like me are urging you, oh, don't get distracted. This story is just distracting from the other story. It's really the Epstein files. Oh no, it's really Venezuela. Oh no, it's really the grift and the billions he's getting from Saudi Arabia. Oh no, it's all of it. But I'm telling you, this one is not just a little curiosity. They are working night and day to steal your vote, to make elections meaningless, to install a permanent dictatorship. Do I exaggerate? No, I do not. So keep your eye on this story. Make sure your representatives in Congress know the story. Make sure your neighbors and family and friends know the story. Because as it's become clear, something else you and I have talked about for many, many years, nobody in power does the right thing until and unless they're forced to by we the people. It's all about us. Speaking of we the people, let's look at Minnesota quickly. Not much has changed, really, since the switchover from Bovino to Homan. Really, the only thing that's changed, at least from what I can tell, I'm trying to monitor the situation. I've got a couple of friends up there. I mentioned Lee Stedman a couple times. He's doing a great job keeping us up to date. And according to the reporting I'm getting, nothing much has changed in the ICE surge, except that they've spread out into the outskirts of the city and into the burbs. But they're still roving, as they say. They're still harassing people. They're still violating people's constitutional rights every damn day. There was an incident where they brought in someone they claimed to be an illegal immigrant with serious, very serious injuries, claimed that the man shattered his skull running into a wall. Yeah, right. So it's as bad as it's been, from everything I can tell. The killers of Alex Preddy have been named. They are Border Patrol Agent Jesus Ochoa and Customs and Border Protection Officer Raimundo Gutierrez. According to the government, they've been relieved of their duties for the moment while this is investigated. I don't trust them, of course. So, yeah, we have names now. So as part of our demands in our many protests, we have to demand that Ochoa and Gutierrez are kept off the streets of any American city. By all rights, they need to be behind bars without bail, but at the very least, this thing has to be investigated. They need to be charged. And unless a jury can be convinced to believe the government over their own lying eyes, they'll be convicted of murder, as will Jonathan Ross, the ICE officer who murdered Renee Good. And just a quick reminder, we've gone over these numbers many times. In very rough figures, it's approximately 70-30. Only about 30% of the people swept up in these ICE and CBP raids have any kind of criminal record at all. And a very tiny percentage, I forget, it's like between 1% and 3%, it's very, very small, have any sort of violent criminal record. And if you went to any random neighborhood in any random city in all of America and swept up people entirely at random, you'd get approximately the same numbers. In fact, they'd even be a little bit higher as far as criminality, especially violent criminals. Immigrants, legal or otherwise, are far less likely to commit crimes, especially violent crimes, sometimes by as much as half as American-born citizens. So just keep that in mind. It remains true. It's been true all along. It's still the fact. Speaking of elections, they had one in Texas for the state legislature. And it's making the news because the Democrat, a guy named Taylor Remmett, he won the seat by 17 points, flipped it from Republican to Democrat. And that's been happening over the past year in special elections or off-year elections. Democrats are doing really well. But the numbers are just eye-popping. He won it by 17 points. The Orange Menace won that same district by 14 points last time. Even I can do that math. That's a swing of 31 points. That is newsworthy. It's all about you and me. It's all about us. None of this has anything to do with anyone in power. Democrats, Republicans, CEOs, celebrities. We have the power. Keep your foot on the pedal every minute. The people are not going to go down. I was going to say, we're not going to go down easily. No, we're just not going down. And for those of you who, and I know there are a lot of people like this, who just want to be on the winning side, there are lots of people who they gravitate toward the winners. The so-called swing voters or the low information voters, I don't know. If you really like being on the winning side, I'd say this is the time to go ahead. Be vocal about being anti-regime, anti-MAGA, anti-fascist. The pro-democracy crowd has become the in crowd. Join us. And do it loudly. Do it every day. We have to normalize the resistance. Normalize the resistance. Put it in your email signature, for those of you who still use emails. ICE out. I am anti-fascist. I am pro-democracy. Be vocal about it with your neighbors, family, friends. Put a slogan on your hat. Wear a pin. Write a message on your backpack. Make sure everybody knows you're with the cool kids now. Because I think the shift has begun, based on everything I'm looking at right now. It's not at all to diminish the grave danger we're in. No, no, no. We've got a cornered, desperate gang of killers and thieves, and they'll stop at nothing to continue their fascist project. So yeah, we still have lots of tough days ahead. We have a very big fight in front of us. But more and more people, based on the polls, based on my own observation, based on my analysis of the news, based on my eyes and ears, which you also have eyes and ears, the people are going to win this thing. And if you like being on the winning side, we got plenty of room for you. We'll all have a nice hot cocoa, and we'll hit the streets together. You know, it's important to keep in mind that there are several things true at once. One, that we should be hopeful. In many ways, we're winning this fight. At the same time, as I've said, we're in grave danger because of what the regime is capable of. Every day, they weaponize their power in a new way, it seems. So we're called upon to be resilient, physically, emotionally. I'm not always up to it. Man, I have my days. But I am hopeful. From the silly small things like Jason Kelce. You know him, right? He's the brother of the other Kelce, Travis. They're both ex-football players. They've got a podcast and they're wildly popular. And Jason Kelce is somebody I've actually been very critical of. Because he's such a jabroni. Not that he's a bad guy. He's just so damn basic and simple and unquestioning. You know? I don't like guys like that. But let me read this quote I saw. "I can't pretend to stay on the sidelines anymore." That was Jason Kelce announcing that he will honor Alex Preddy and Renee Good in his upcoming podcast, costing him an estimated $2 million in total sponsorship losses. So it's things like this that really give me hope. And it's exactly why I'm critical of guys like Jason Kelce. Yeah, I got $2 million per episode that I can't put on the line, so I'll just talk about things that are innocent and fun and silly. And so even Jason Kelce has come around to it. And, everybody could do that. That's what I'm talking about when I say normalize the resistance. It's so important to normalize the resistance. We all have to know we're in this together. We're with each other. We're not alone. When we're tired and having a bad day, we know that somebody else is picking up the slack. And then when they're tired and having a bad day, maybe we've got some extra energy. We're all in this together. And it really is it's damn near everybody. You can count the leaders of MAGA, the actual power brokers, on one or two hands. But it doesn't seem that way. It seems like they've got all the power. And that's why normalizing the resistance I just find to be so important. And a little move like that from Jason Kelce can go so far. And multiply that by 10, 20, 100, 1,000. These stupid morning shows, the Today and whatever these yuck it up shows are, the Regis and Kathy Lee kind of shows, the morning zoo shows on radio, all this, people will just bend over backwards to defend their right to tune out. Oh, I can't take this all the time. I got to be able to have just some light, fluffy entertainment. Fine, be as light and fluffy as you want. But before you go to the commercial break, why don't you say something like, ice out? Why don't you say something like, impeach the regime? You can do it with a smile on your face. You can stay happy and fluffy. You can still talk about makeup tips and the best way to lose those last 10 pounds, new fashion for your pets. Whatever the dumb topic is, whatever dopey stuff you're talking about, why don't you just remind everybody once in a while that you live in the real world? Just a quick little mention. Let everybody know. Make it clear. Tell us you're pro-democracy, that you're anti-fascist. Normalize the resistance. We're in the middle of awards season. Last Sunday, a few winners at the Grammys spoke out. It wasn't much. It was a little bit. It was welcomed. I wish every winner had done the same thing. I guess they wore pins. Don't laugh. Don't mock. This is another thing that bothers me. When activists, who are really into this, get so dismissive and mocking about people who just, they're just posting online or they're wearing a pin. I'm doing the real work. Damn it. Don't mock and dismiss people. Every little bit is welcomed. Every little bit. So yeah, they wore pins. Fine. Yeah, sure, it's an awards show and they're pretty gross and they all drool over each other. We all know that. Fine. But we're all in this together. and every little bit is just great. Bad Bunny won the big award of the night. Of course, he's going to be performing at the Super Bowl on Sunday. And he had some very good things to say about ICE and about the regime. Good for him. In fact, the arts generally can be just so powerful. We had the Bruce Springsteen song. We got Jesse Wells, the folk protest singer, really making a name for himself. Every day I'm seeing people just in my feed in their home studios writing protest songs. It's fantastic. Don't you dare belittle these people or mock them or dismiss them because they're not doing the real work. They're doing what they can. They're doing what they do. And if you don't appreciate the power of art and music, well, I don't know what rock you've been sleeping under for the last 10,000 years. All of the cancellations at the Kennedy Center have forced the Orange Meat Puppet to close the damn place. Yeah, did you hear that? He announced he's closing it for 2 years, starting July 4th. He says he came up with the excuse, oh, we're going to renovate it. And he probably will. He'll probably gut the entire place. But of course that's not the reason. He had to shut down because nobody wants to perform there except Kid Rock and the Village People. If I had the entrepreneurial chops to do it, I don't know, maybe I'll try. Or maybe I'll just throw out the idea and somebody else can pick it up. I'd love to see a variety of stickers with all sorts of anti-fascist, pro-democracy slogans. And of course, ICE out and things like that. Just pithy little slogans. The kind of stuff you can put on a protest sign. In a nice little sticker format. And if somebody with a whole bunch of money could print out just millions of them and just make them ubiquitous, just everywhere. Anybody who wants a sheet of stickers can get them. And then you go out for your day and you slap them onto store shelves and just any public place where people will see them. And they'll take heart. It's like people who paint rocks with little affirmations, little happy thoughts. Someone stumbles upon it in the park and it gives them a smile. Yeah, we need just millions of those kind of little happy reminders that we're in this together. And there's way more of us than them. Yeah, I'd like to see these stickers just everywhere I go. I know you think it sounds silly, it sounds trivial. I don't care. It's not. It's absolutely not. Nothing you do for the resistance is too small or too trivial. Especially when it's done in concert with millions of other like-minded people. Sending a couple of bucks to the ACLU, using your phone to record wrongdoing when you see it, small everyday consumer decisions, mostly your ability to speak up when you hear lies, or maybe even just as important, maybe more important, when you hear indifference or callousness or despair. If you can speak up in those moments, every small act matters. It's the fable of the stone soup, right? It's you laying one brick on the wall to build a strong foundation. It's your one single vote dropped into a ballot box. I mean, pick your metaphor, pick your analogy. They're all 100% true. One single act means nothing alone, and yet a whole worldwide movement is impossible without those individual acts. Each and every one of them. Now, if you're looking for something a little more substantive, I want to recommend an effort out there that I may have mentioned before. It's called How to Resist. I know they've got a Substack. That's where I'm following them. I don't know where else they might be on social media. Maybe they got a bunch of platforms. I don't know. But I'm looking at them right now on Substack. HowToResist.substack.com. And they have got tons. Oh my gosh. I'll just give you a little quick hit. Let's see. What I'm looking at right now is a long piece on the people of Minnesota and all the good things they're doing. Mutual aid groups expand food support. indigenous-led mutual aid networks, counter ICE operations, warning systems for neighbors when ICE is roving. Minnesota small businesses turn economic blackout into mutual aid. Just reading some headlines here. Faith leaders practice theology of showing up to resist ICE. Music workers organize ICE Out benefit to support immigrant families. Oh, that reminds me, my Unitarian church here just down the street has formed a singing group to go out for events, protests, etc. I think I'm going to look into that. Volunteers meet ICE detainees with rides home, phones, and care. Minnesota Department of Corrections launches website to correct DHS misinformation. Minnesota residents stop proposed ICE detention center. Yeah, this is big. Community members and local leaders in Shakopee successfully halted plans for a proposed 1,500-bed ICE detention center. I've read similar reports here across the border in my state of Wisconsin. Small towns, people are really showing up to fight things like detention centers. The fight against data centers is big right now. 67 student protesters arrested after hotel protest. Yeah, you got to get arrested sometimes. That's cool. You got to do it. I love this. The editors of The Nation announced they are formally nominating the city of Minneapolis and its residents for the 2026 Nobel Peace Prize, citing their sustained nonviolent resistance to the Trump administration's aggressive immigration enforcement. That is fantastic. And everything I've read you so far is all just Minneapolis. And you know it's happening everywhere. It's happening in Maine especially because they've got a bit of a spotlight on them right now. It's happening in Texas, organized protests within one of the detention centers for families. Yeah, it's everywhere. And it's in your town. And the How to Resist site on Substack, and again, maybe it's on other platforms, check it out. So much more than just good news stories. 45 acts of non-compliance for ordinary people. Let's click on that. Oh yeah, we're going to spend some time on these. Non-compliance, choosing not to engage with the regime-aligned media. That's what we preach around here all the time. Refusing to call the police for nonviolent issues. Organizing resistance among colleagues. Refusing to self-censor. Refusing to use euphemisms or dog whistles. Each one of these deserves a little more conversation. I'm just giving you a little taste. Providing shelter or aid to targeted individuals. Reporting ICE activity through apps like IceBlock. I've got IceBlock on my phone. I haven't checked it out recently. I know that Google, a couple of other large tech platforms, have blocked these types of apps. I'm not sure what the deal is on your phone. Check it out. Sharing fact-checked news from independent sources. Yeah, we're all about that all the time, you and me. Using encrypted messaging apps, creating community libraries. I love the Library of Things idea that you and I have talked about, a big part of mutual aid. So anyway, that's just a taste. There's another list. 35 ways America is resisting ICE that go beyond protest. Let's look at this one. Going to court, show support for individuals taken into custody, document. Refusal of service or entry or use of facilities. Something called a walking school bus. Because many parents are afraid to walk their children to school, some local mothers, educators, and neighbors have organized a walking school bus to help families affected by ICE operations. Whistles have become a big part of the picture. They have two purposes: to warn undocumented individuals to flee and to alert U.S. citizens to gather and record. So there are groups purchasing and distributing whistles. So just a taste of the tons of information you can get at How to Resist. And right now, at least these last couple of entries, it's been all about ICE and their abuses and what we can do about it. But How to Resist has been around a while. It'll give you a ton of ideas and resources to resist the regime generally. And among those hundreds of ideas, you're going to find things that are fun. Maybe they're even easy. Almost all of them help build community. You're not going to feel drained. You're not going to feel sad. You're just going to be energized, and you're going to be part of the solution. So, of the many, many resources, I guarantee they're in your town. I'm going to today suggest How to Resist .substack. And again, most importantly, just be open with your friends, your family, your coworkers, everybody. Tell the truth as you see it. I mean, if they don't like it, I'm sorry, but they're the ones who need to hear it the most. Go into the future, if you can, 10 or 20 or 50 years from now, or even 100. In the near and distant future, what is today going to look like? Who are the heroes and who are the villains? The people of Minneapolis on one side, on the other side, the Miller-Vogt regime and their ICE Gestapo. Who are going to be the heroes? Who are going to be the villains 10 or 20 or 50 or 100 years from now? Come on. Benjamin Netanyahu's Israel and his IDF compared to the people of Gaza? How is Hamas going to come out in that story versus Israel, versus the people themselves? American politicians who limit voting rights, who ban books, who try to alter history, refuse to tax the rich, refuse to recognize health care as a right, food, housing, education. They're all rights. Be honest. How's this all going to look 10 years from now when the documentaries start looking back and you're still around to watch them? 20 years from now when your kids are trying to make their way in the world and you're still around, but you're becoming more and more irrelevant and you need their care. How is your history going to look to them? 50 years from now, when you're probably gone, but your grandchildren are learning about you and our time. 100 years from now, it's not that far away. A lot of you are going to have grandkids still be living in the world that we built for them. How is today going to look in history? Come on, be honest. You know the answer. You know the answer. If we take the history that came before us as a guide, there's no question. Is there any question at all remaining on who were the heroes on the Pettus Bridge? Is there any question at all about the heroics of Harriet Tubman? Come on. You know what's right. You want what's right. That means you also have to fight for what's right. Thanks for listening. This and all other episodes can be heard at the website, charlesburcell.com, or on your favorite podcast platform. Thanks to our flagship terrestrial station, River West Radio in Milwaukee. Follow us on Substack and Blue Sky. Peter Donalds wrote and performed our theme song. I'm Charles Purcell. I love you. I'll see you out there.